Welcome to the 5-Minute Disasters podcast from 5minutedisasters.com, where each week we uncover worldwide disasters in about 5 minutes. If you enjoy the show and would like to support us, why not consider buying us a coffee? Head on over to 5minutedisasters.com/coffee to see how. This is episode 2, The Sinking of the Titanic. The sinking of the Titanic remains one of the most tragic and well-known maritime disasters in modern history. On the 15th of April 1912, the RMS Titanic, hailed as the Unsinkable ship, met a catastrophic end after striking an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean. The disaster claimed the lives of over 1,500 people and has since become a symbol of human hubris, technological failure, and profound loss. The Titanic was built in Belfast, Northern Ireland, by the shipbuilding company Harland and Wolff. It was one of the largest and most luxurious ocean liners of its time, measuring 269 meters in length and weighing over 46,000 tons. Its sheer size, combined with cutting-edge engineering, contributed to the belief that it was unsinkable. The ship was designed with 16 watertight compartments, and it was thought that even if several of these compartments were breached, the ship could remain afloat. It was this overconfidence that played a key role in the events that unfolded on that fateful April night. The Titanic set sail on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, on the 10th of April 1912, with stops in Cherbourg in France and Queenstown, now Cove, in Ireland, before heading toward its final destination of New York City. On board were 2,224 passengers and crew, ranging from some of the wealthiest individuals in the world to emigrants seeking a new life in America. The ship was divided into first, second, and third-class accommodations, with the first-class cabins being the epitome of luxury. Wealthy passengers, including prominent figures such as John Jacob Astor IV and Benjamin Guggenheim, enjoyed amenities like a swimming pool, gymnasium, and fine dining. Meanwhile, third-class passengers, though less opulent, still had comfortable accommodations for the time. On the night of the 14th of April, as the Titanic sailed through the icy waters of the North Atlantic, warnings of icebergs had been received throughout the day. However, the ship continued to maintain a high speed of about 22 knots. At 11:40 p.m., lookouts Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee spotted an iceberg directly in the ship's path. Despite their efforts to alert the bridge and the attempts by First Officer William Murdoch to steer the ship clear, it was too late. The iceberg struck the ship's starboard side, breaching several of the watertight compartments. Although the damage appeared minor initially, water soon began flooding the lower decks, and it became clear that the Titanic was doomed. Captain Edward Smith, who had planned to retire after the Titanic's maiden voyage, ordered the lifeboats to be prepared. However, the ship's design flaw, combined with inadequate safety measures, meant that there were only enough lifeboats for about half of those on board. The belief that the ship was unsinkable had led to the lifeboat regulations being based on outdated tonnage rules, not the actual capacity of the ship. Moreover, the evacuation process was chaotic and poorly managed. Lifeboats were launched half-empty, with priority given to women and children. The first lifeboat, for example, had a capacity of 65, but left with only 28 passengers. Many passengers did not initially understand the gravity of the situation, believing the ship was unsinkable. As the hours passed, the Titanic began to sink more rapidly. The bow dipped lower into the water, and distress rockets were fired into the night sky in the hope that nearby ships might come to the rescue. The closest ship, the RMS Carpathia, was over 50 miles away and did not arrive until several hours later. The temperature of the water was around -2 degrees Celsius, making survival in the ocean almost impossible for those who were unable to secure a place in a lifeboat. Many of those who entered the icy waters died from hypothermia within minutes. By 2:20 a.m. on the 15th of April, just over 2.5 hours after the iceberg struck, the Titanic broke apart and sank beneath the waves. The ship's final moments were chaotic and harrowing. As it sank, hundreds of passengers and crew were still on board, clinging to whatever they could find. The ship's band famously continued to play music in an attempt to calm those around them, with reports suggesting they played "Nearer, My God, to Thee" as the ship disappeared beneath the ocean. Out of the 2,224 passengers and crew, only around 710 survived. Most of the survivors were women, children, and first-class passengers, as the lifeboats were launched from the upper decks. Tragically, many third-class passengers, trapped in the lower decks by barriers or unaware of the severity of the situation, were unable to reach the lifeboats in time. The Carpathia arrived on the scene at around 4 a.m., rescuing those who had made it into the lifeboats. For those in the water, however, it was too late. The sinking of the Titanic shocked the world and led to widespread outcry over the lack of sufficient lifeboats and safety measures on board. In the aftermath, significant changes were made to maritime law, including the establishment of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, in 1914, which mandated that all ships carry enough lifeboats for every passenger and crew member. Additionally, regular lifeboat drills became mandatory, and ships were required to maintain 24-hour radio watch. The wreck of the Titanic lay undiscovered at the bottom of the Atlantic for over 70 years, until it was finally located in 1985 by oceanographer Dr. Robert Ballard. The discovery reignited public interest in the disaster, leading to numerous books, documentaries, and films, including James Cameron's 1997 blockbuster Titanic, which further immortalized the tragedy in popular culture. The sinking of the Titanic remains a symbol of the fragility of human ambition and the unpredictable power of nature. Despite the technological advancements and confidence of the early 20th century, the disaster serves as a reminder of the need for humility in the face of the natural world. Over a century later, the Titanic's story continues to captivate and haunt those who reflect on the fateful events of the 15th of April 1912. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute Disasters podcast from 5minutedisasters.com. If you did, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And while you're there, why not leave us a review? Also, please consider listening to our other 5-minute podcasts, which you can find at 5minuteproductions.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.